Attorney General Jeff Sessions occasionally endures Twitter criticism from his boss, but that has not frozen him into inaction. Just yesterday, the Attorney General reversed an Obama-era policy that granted asylum to migrants who claimed they feared gang violence or domestic violence in their home countries. It turns out the overwhelming majority of those applications were false. The Attorney General joins us tonight. Mr. Attorney General, thanks for coming on.
Hey, thank you, Tucker.
So I want to ask you about this, but first I have to ask about a piece of breaking news our Catherine Herridge just has out saying that in January of this year, January 10th, Deputy Attorney General Rosenstein went up to the Hill, met with Republican members of the House Intel Committee, had a dispute with them, and threatened them with a subpoena of their emails and phone records. This is what one of them said. I read it as a not-so-veiled threat to unleash the full prosecutorial power of the state against us. DOJ on background has confirmed that something like that did happen. What is that about?
Well, I don't know that they've confirmed that exactly. In fact, the FBI director, the senior ethics attorney for the Department of Justice who was in the room, say that's a mischaracterization, really, of what occurred. And it also, I think, indicates that there's been a breakdown of relationships when, in fact, since January, a great deal of progress has been made. We understand in this department that we are accountable to the President, we are accountable to Congress, and we need to be cooperative with them to produce as many documents as rationally and legally and properly as can be produced, to produce them. And we've made tremendous progress in that regard, really.
Did the Deputy Attorney General threaten to subpoena the email or phone records of members of the House Intel Committee?
Well, I was not in the room, and I can't speak to what occurred. All I can say is that the people at Chris Wray, the director of the FBI, and our senior ethics attorney was there, and others, and did not see it in that same fashion.
Okay, so as a factual matter, you don't think that that happened?
I'm confident that Deputy Rosenstein, 28 years in the Department of Justice, did not improperly threaten anyone on that occasion. But we do believe that we have tried to be cooperative with them and made progress in months as the months have gone by, and in fact have had some good relationships with top members of Congress.
Okay. So you have made news recently by undoing an Obama-era rule about asylum seekers. Give us the overview. I think most Americans like the idea that this would be a haven for people suffering around the world. Lots of people claim asylum. What do we know about the veracity of their claims?
That's a good question. 7 years ago, 5,000 people were applied for asylum, claiming a credible fear of being at home in their home country, and they needed to flee that country. That number jumped to 94,000 in just 7 years. It's overwhelming our system. Over 80% of those claims are being denied by the immigration judges as being not meritorious. So it is a big problem for us, but it's each one of those is requiring trials and factual decisions by our judges. We're going to add 100 judges, and that may not yet be enough judges to handle the cases. We need to give the judges better guidance. They need to go back to the fundamental principles and laws and rules of the Immigration and Nationalization Act. And if we do that, then we're in a position where some of these cases can be promptly decided. You do not get to come to America if you have a private threat or someone personally attacks you. You do not get to have asylum for that. It's based on your race, your religion, your nationality, that you're part of some special identifiable group that's being persecuted in your home country. That's what it takes to have an asylum, and we need to get this straight, and I think it will help us. The decision I made, I believe it's right legally. I'm totally confident it's consistent with the intent of the drafters of the INA, our law, and I believe it will help us manage our caseloads better and give more focus to the people who deserve to be given asylum, and help us eliminate those that are not worthy of this asylum.
Well, if over 80% of the applications are fraudulent, there's obviously a problem. So the DOJ has also recently weighed in on the question of speech on campus. What can the federal government do, the Department of Justice do, to ensure that people's First Amendment rights are protected? And why is it take until 2018 to get DOJ involved in this?
It's one of the big challenges of our time. I have come to believe, and it's almost unbelievable, that major colleges and universities would be taking action that restrict the right of free speech on a college campus. It's just got to be confronted. We have the authority under law to file a statement of interest in an ongoing litigation. So cases are being filed against the universities by students who complain, and if we think their complaints are meritorious, then we can file a statement of interest joining with them and explaining why we at the Department of Justice thinks these concerns are real and justified, and a court relief is appropriate. So we've had some success. We've had 2 cases where there's been a major change in the college and university's actions, and 2 cases where the judge has dismissed or rejected a motion to dismiss these cases by the universities and allowing the trials to go forward. But we think it's a very important thing. Students should be participating in robust debate. They ought not to be intimidated. They ought not to be driven by political correctness to where you can't even speak up in class or on campus.
It's just amazing what an upside-down world it is when a conservative attorney general is defending the First Amendment against liberals. It's like things have changed almost too much. Mr. Attorney General, thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Good to be with you.